In this clip, we're going to take a look at beginning to set up our render, and that's going to include setting up some quick lighting, setting up Arnold, as well as setting up our shader. So, as I mentioned, we are of course going to render in Arnold. You can render the hair in the old Maya software renderer, however it will render as paint effects, which is not going to look very realistic. It's kind of a post effect done after the initial render, so we want to stick to rendering in Arnold. So if I go ahead and just try to take a render now, it will be a pitch black screen because there are no lights in here. So I'm going to come up here to Arnold, Lights, and I'm going to create an area light. And I'm just going to create one for right now. We're not going to fine tune our lighting very heavily right now. We're just going to set up a basic render. In our next clip, we'll go ahead and fine tune just a little bit. For now, just this one light should do fine. I'll go ahead and position that maybe a little bit further in right there. Maybe a little bit longer there. All right, I'm going to go ahead and pull back in on him here. And let's go ahead and take a look at our Arnold render view. Now, initially, we're still not going to see very much. It's still going to be pretty dark, and that's because there's a couple of adjustments we need to make on our area light. So I'm going to start by probably turning up my exposure a little bit. That won't change too much. You can crank the intensity and the exposure, either or, and start getting some light in here, but what's keeping it down right now is actually this normalize. Go ahead and turn that off, and you can see immediately we'll start seeing our render. And straight off, we have something that looks very strange. First of all, the color is not coming through properly, and second, the hair is extremely bright. Now, the reason we're seeing this is because the default Maya shader, the one that's built into the hair system, isn't really compatible with Arnold. So we need to make a couple of changes. Let me go ahead and close off everything here in our hair system. So for starters, we're going to come down here to Arnold. We'll open that up. We'll scroll down here, and we want to go ahead and turn on Override Hair, and then actually add an Arnold hair shader over here. I'll go ahead and select that. We'll go ahead and choose Arnold Shader, and we'll choose AI Hair. Okay, with that, let's go ahead and take another render. We'll turn on our render view here, and let's see what we have now. And you can see that we do now, in fact, have shading that at least looks more like hair. I'm going to increase the size a little bit there. We can see it's not overly blown out and actually renders fairly decently. It reacts to our lighting as well. However, notice what did not come through, and that's our color. Now, if you were just to go into the hair system here, which is typically what most people do first, you see, export hair colors. You turn that on, come over here to take a render, and quickly realize that, well, that did a whole lot of nothing. So there is one more step we have to take. The problem is how the colors are actually being read. Right now they're being read over here through shading, but again, Arnold's not really accessing this. So we're going to go back to our hair shader right here, and we're going to go ahead and load the color into its root and tip over here. And you can of course use two separate maps if you'd like. To do that, I'm just going to go ahead and bring up my hypershade right there. Go ahead and shrink that down because it is enormous right now. Oops, sorry about that. The hypershade just got a little stuck there. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and just shift this over a little bit. We'll go over here to textures, and I'm going to grab this blue and black texture, and I'm going to throw that using my middle mouse drag into the root color. And while I could make a different version, maybe lighter colors for the tip, for now we'll just drag this same image, middle mouse drag into tip color. Now, if I were to go ahead and take a render now, once again, we're probably not going to see too much change. Let's go ahead and see. You can see there's a quick preview of it right there. And it doesn't really look like what we expect. It's kind of what we saw before with a little bit of blue in it now. So what's actually going on? Well, Arnold reads color, with hair at least, a little bit differently. It's not reading it as a surface area. It's actually reading it as the U, I believe, is the length of the hair, or excuse me, the V is the length of the hair, and the U is the width of each hair. So it's kind of shading each hair individually. And that's not really what we want. We want it to shade different parts of the scalp and have the hair be based on that. So to do this, we need to scroll down here to UVs. And here we're going to type in U param chord. Whoops. and V param chord. Now there is one more change we have to make before this will work. If you take a render right now, you're not going to see any difference. We need to go back to our hair shader. We'll go ahead and, our hair system. And we need to turn on export hair UVs. We'll go ahead and turn that on, and now let's take one more render. Give that just a second to pop up. There it goes. And you could see now we're starting to get our different colors. We can see the dark hair and the blue hair. Now, of course, it's all very bright right now. We probably want to take down some of the specularity, adjust our lights and things like that. But we'll take a look at that in the next clip. Here we wanted to focus on just what we need to do to get the hair rendering, and you can see that's what we need to do. We have to set up a light. We do need to come over here and add in our hair shader, the AI hair. We need to turn on override hair. We can export our hair colors, make sure we export our hair UVs, and then of course add our hair color maps here into the root and tip color. And finally, to make sure it reads those the way we intend them to be read, we need to type in U param chord and V param chord here in the UVs. So I'll see you guys in the next clip where we're going to take a look at starting to fine-tune our render.